And he's like, I've seen problems that don't exist in white communities that exist in black communities, and I don't want to be. I just want to go as far away as possible.
Oh shit, dude.
Yeah.
Salt Lake City doesn't have that many black people.
Maybe don't help his side of the thing. Do you guys remember the comic strip Dilbert?
Oh, dude.
Yeah, you seen what's been going on with that?
No.
It's pretty heavy, man.
It's pretty crazy.
Dilbert, the comic strip.
The
Office.
guy got canceled, right?
Yeah, I mean, they took his comic off of every newspaper.
Scott Adams.
Even though it's not like, so what? It's out of the newspaper. We took the newspaper out of our lives ages ago.
I didn't even know they existed still.
No, I didn't either. But yeah, big whoop. But the main thing is what he said was pretty, whew.
What'd he say?
So, he went on this rant.
It was a good rant, too. Yeah?
You watched it?
Yeah, I saw the clip.
Yeah, it was a very...
You're like, oh, this guy?
It's a very...
He's out of his mind.
Oh, it's a long rant?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the rant that you're seeing, like, posted on social media is like a... The rest of it's, like, pretty good. But,
What do you mean pretty good? Like, pretty
sizable. Pretty
a
sizable.
lot, okay.
Meaning he makes a lot of sense.
But then the bangers, his singles are the ones that are going out.
You got a hit single.
You're hearing little interludes. But yeah, he basically said, he started going off about, he was citing this one survey that was done that showed that over 50% of black people are not okay with white people. That's what he equated it to. Like, the thing asks, the statement, it's okay to be white. Do you agree with that or not? That's basically what the question was in the survey. And over 50% of people, it's not true that it was over 50%. It's like, it was something like 20-something% said no. And then the 20-something% said, I don't have an answer. Or they weren't willing to.
What the fuck kind of question is that?
Yeah, that's a setup.
Are you okay being Asian?
It's okay to be white.
White? Like...
Well, the right answer is no. It's not okay to be white, obviously.
Yeah. It literally says, do you agree with the statement, it's okay to be white? That's the question. And
what do you guys think? Ken, what do you think?
A majority, let's just say a majority of the black people that answered it did not have a positive answer agreeing to it. Let's say that.
Yeah.
So he was citing that and saying like I've stood up for different causes for black people for a really long time. And he's like, there's no fixing this. He's like, if that's what they think, then that is a hate group. Like you can't vote that direction in that size. I think it's 1,000 people they asked. And he's like, he was saying my best advice is just to get as far away from black people as possible. Get the fuck out. Get the fuck away.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. And he's like, I've seen problems that don't exist in white communities that exist in black communities, and I don't want to be. I just want to go as far away as possible.
Oh shit, dude.
Yeah.
Salt Lake City doesn't have that many black people.
Maybe don't help his side of the thing.
Because if he's talking about like, is this guy in LA? Because I mean, like, I just think everyone that's in entertainment doing comic books and everything, they're like all living in LA. I'm like, if you don't like diversity, bro, like LA's not the place for you.
I don't know if he's from LA.
Oh, okay.
Is it wrong for him to not want to be diverse? Like, if that's his own personal opinion. Like, what do you guys think?
I think it's not wrong, but I think at the same time, if you speak on behalf of like a credible newspaper or like, you know what I mean, you represent something, then you don't just represent your own voice anymore. And I think you need to be conscious of that.
You think Dilbert's racist?
Wait, he said that in a video.
Hey, do you think he's racist, bro?
I don't know.
The cartoon, maybe. But you know what I'm saying? Like, anytime you're like truly, especially from a public awareness point of view, you don't just represent your own voice anymore. You represent like, you know, everything that is you know? So you got to be cautious as well.
I read his book called Think Bigly. Yeah, I think it was called Think Bigly. It was interesting, but he was dissecting the Trump campaign and all that stuff. And so I think he became a pretty hardcore, open Trump supporter. And
you think he's stormed the Capitol?
he looks like the type.
You think he made the trip?
I think where it started for him, you know, in Hollywood, if you are a Republican or if you are like right wing, you're basically the devil, right? So then I think for him, that was his first journey of like, yo, why can't I just be like Republican or whatever, something like that, I think. And it's like, why can't in America you just be one political party or the other. Why you gotta be painted as like a horrible human being?
Do you think he wants to represent white pride? He's like, well, black people could have pride in their.
I don't know, man.
I'm proud of my race.
Why does it sound so weird when someone white wants to live around white people, but like Asians do that a lot?
I think it's just the
they want
context,
to
dude.
live around.
I think it sounds weird to people that have a weird view on racism because it doesn't sound weird to me.
It doesn't sound weird to me either.
I'm like, if you want to live with like-minded, like similar
Light-skinned?
light-skinned culture, lifestyle.
Bunch of round eye.
I'm like, like Salt Lake City, go live over there.
Like Joe suggested.
Go to Salt Lake City.
He's trying to offer a solution, right? But it's obviously not going to fix racism. But for him, his action also doesn't lead to more racism if you think about it. Because he's just like, let me just bounce.
Because he wants to
I think-
exit the.
I don't know because
Yeah.
the thing is, okay, so like, if he was an immigrant and he wanted to he misses his, like, let's say fucking Polish sausages or some shit, right? And he's like, man, where my Polish is at? Like, and I need to go find my fucking Polish
Yeah.
village so he could get whatever and then he can be into the culture. But if he's like white, like American, where he's like just basically like, he ain't looking for that. All he wants to do is live with white folks. The historical context about that makes it taboo is the neighborhoods of segregation that they created. So then it just brings it back to that, where it's like, this side is white, this side is black.
And that's the most recent memory we could think of.
Yeah, and I think that's that touchy.
Fresh in our minds.
Yeah, and like Joe said too, when we're talking about like the Asian immigrants too, it's like those people don't come here speaking English all the time. So living in a community of people that are like
almost
literally
vital,
speaking
yeah.
the same language, then you build that community in order to survive in this new land. Whereas that, it's like even black people speak English, so it's not like a crippling thing that you can be in that community. It's just based off like your comfort, which again, if you're uncomfortable with it, it's not that it's necessarily wrong as an individual point of view, but like Joe said too, I mean, that I think there is a little bit of a hypocrisy to it, especially in like this land, America wasn't owned by like white people, you know what I mean?
But also though, just don't go on live and say that. Just keep, just don't go on live.
But he's also assuming that all of black America feels this way.
Yeah, that's what I thought was funny.
Because, like, for me, like, I'll read a BuzzFeed article, and I know that that's not how people really feel. It's just how people in Silicon Valley feel. Or, like, yeah, I might read something on Fox or Vox and know that that's a section of America that feels a certain way, right?
Because it's a specific community. Yeah.
So, like, there might be a handful of, like, let's say, like, there are black and Asian tensions, like, in Oakland or something, right? But, like, that might not be the same in Georgia. So, like, how you gonna really apply a handful of people and say all these people feel this way about me, therefore I gotta run away from them?
Plus, what kind of survey is this?
Right?
It's
Like, what kind
actually,
of question is that? Let's ask 1,000 black people who have been triggered by like white history in the last couple of years to answer a
Rasmussen-
really weird question.
It's a Rasmussen poll.
What's that?
Rasmussen reports. It's like a known polling company.
Running out of questions these days, huh?
I know.
We just have this weird obsession with race. You know what I mean?
It's so fucking weird, man.
Because no matter where the results go, it's gonna be some sort of interesting angle that someone can take and like run with a narrative. Like that's the other thing too. It's like, I don't know, especially with when it's so, and the question is probably phrased in a way where it's like, I don't want to say it meant to be hostile, but it's very easily can be misconstrued as being like a little like divisive.
I almost wish the like target wasn't like how do we get along, like more so like point that way, like how do we be harmonious and everyone can turn and go this direction, versus the way that like the media paints it. It's always like, oh, how are we gonna fucking get along? And it's this constant thing that they can milk over and over, rather than let's get to that point.
It's almost like they don't want us to be friends and build a community.
It's almost like they're doing it right.
Maybe they want us to not really get together because they're gonna find out that we're gonna find out that they're fucking with us.
And then you get guys like this who like have been consuming this type of stuff over a period of time. where
Yeah.
their views could probably be very easily skewed, so they're just like waiting to react and say crazy
It
stuff.
feels like a loaded question to me to be like, hey, black people, 1,000 of you, come over here real quick. It's okay to be white. agree or disagree.
Yeah, what is that? That's
Like
such
you're
a fucking
asking.
setup.
I can't get a maybe.
You know what that makes me think of? It's like that's really difficult for them to answer in the same way that if 1,000 elderly Asians in San Francisco and Oakland, come here real quick. It's safe to be around black people.
Yeah, like
Yes or no?
Yeah.
Really? You're gonna ask them right now in the height of tensions?
And that's
Like,
the only choices they get. No
Right.
nuance. They have to say either this
Exactly.
or
It's like,
that.
You're not.
Yeah, what's the point?
It doesn't seem like a fair question to ask, and then to cite that as a source of why you're moving away. Like those 1,000 people may not be the people that live around you, and you're this dot. Like you're not moving away from them.
This is for a Salt Lake City,
Another
dude.
thing, another thing that this dude did that like why he fucked up though is like it doesn't matter the opinion of it being right or wrong, especially if it's his own opinion. But I think when you take like a poll of 1,000, and even if like over 50% are like negative in some way in your eyes or whatever, like what he did was also strike out like all hope. Like there's no chances. You know what I'm saying?
And I mean, he said that verbally. He's like, "There's no fixing."
Yeah,
this.
and I think that's also just like an issue with it. That's like looking at a problem being like unsolvable. You know what I mean? And that's like not necessarily the way that communicates best to a broad demographic.
Yeah.
It's not what you hit the podium with.
Yeah, he's got a podium that not just white people listen to. So it's kind of like, yo, you gotta think about that. You know what I'm saying? You can't take out 100% of the hope.
And with him, I don't like that statement that he had of I've done so much already for the black community, and this is the thanks I get. Like that's how it came off as, right?
That's kind of what he said.
If you're really genuinely trying to do things out of goodwill, you want to make the communities like come together, all this stuff, right? Then in my opinion, the mission wasn't accomplished until the sentiment is gone. So then like it's not up to you how much effort you put in and when you're finished. It's actually when the mission is completed is when the work was done. So then also like people are gonna have different experiences, right? So like I can do as much work as I can to try to heal a community, but there's gonna be other people that are getting bullied by Asians or whatever it's going on that'll have different experiences. And I'm like, but I did almost all this fucking work for 20 years. But it's like, yeah, but
You're right. It should have been gone by now.
Man, you did so much for us. Thank you.
Yeah.
that's experienced something completely different, never met me.
Right.
So it's like, because I mean, one thing that I can relate to is like Japan and Korea relations, right? I'm Japanese American. I don't fucking have any connection to this, but every time that talk comes to play, people that are angry about it, they just care that your DNA is Japanese.
Yeah.
Right. So then they're like, oh, you know, colonizer DNA or whatever, like your country, this and that. And I'm like, I wasn't even born there, bro. But then, I think in those situations, it's so much heartache that they're blind to the differences. They can't see that like, you know, this is an American. This is completely different. But like, you should still feel what we felt. And I'm like, okay, cool. If that's what it takes to kind of like create an olive branch and then just be like, hey, like, what, you know, what's going on? What's the issue here? Like, can we change perspectives in like real life face to face than imaginary, like your people's this way? So I'm like, basically, there's generational crazy shit that's going down with angry like people, right? Like because of what they've been told, what their family members experience, and you can kind of have examples of this of every single ethnic group. Some people went through genocides, holocausts, whatever, right? So there's tension between all of these groups. But I think his method of just running away makes it extremely so much more fucking worse.
Yeah.
I blame the fucking poll. That's a dumbass question.
That's a stupid
It's just all bad, bro. It's all bad.